Hey there everybody, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Captain Beefy. This is the Game Vault, and we're going to talk about an activist organization that encouraged game developers to denounce gamers and how they're now begging for $80,000 so that they can remain open. Let's cue up the music, and we'll get right to it. Alright, well, the organization's called Take This, and you know what they can take? They can go take this finger and, look it right in the eye. This organization's received significant funding from the U.S. government, and it's now begging its followers to give them $80,000 in order to keep the doors open. The organization was brought into the public eye when it posted a blog post back in March, encouraging game developers to denounce gamers for defending themselves from Sweet Baby Inc. The organization stated, if you're reading this, you've probably been hearing about what's now being called Gamergate 2. It's the latest targeted harassment campaign within the game industry, and it's aimed at Sweet Baby Inc., a Montreal-based narrative development studio. Now, for those of you who have been living in the dark for a while or just don't pay attention that much, and this is your first time hearing of Sweet Baby Inc., Sweet Baby Inc. is a consultancy company that goes in and injects DEI into games. What's DEI? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. That means they go in and they let you know if your game has enough gay people and black people and women in it, basically. Just putting it in a nutshell. But DEI goes a lot deeper than that. It also goes into the structure of a lot of these companies where they are hiring people based off of DEI standards instead of merit-based hiring, right? So they may have 10 people apply for a job, and out of those 10, 2 of them are black, and one of those blacks is gay. They're going to hire that guy. Doesn't matter where he stands on the merits and how good he is compared to anybody else. They're going to say, whoa, we got a double whammy here. We got a black fella and a gay fella. That's 2 checkboxes we can mark off, and aren't we progressive and awesome? So because of this, because of these hiring practices and the injection of this kind of ideology into games, a lot of games have suffered in the last few years. And we've seen flop after flop after flop, with Concord being the latest and not the last to really fail miserably. Concord was it was 8 years in development, somewhere in the $100 to $200 million range, I believe the budget was. Not 100% on that, but in any case, a lot of money was sunk into this. Firewalk Studios put it together. Sony backed it. It was supposed to be the next 5v5 shooter game, a hero shooter with all kinds of characters that you can play as, and they had plans to... Looking at it now, I have to laugh. Every week we're going to release a little story, a backstory about one of our characters so you can grow and love them even more. 14 days later, game is done. Sony's refunding everybody their money. It's taken out of the store. It is done. There's some speculation that it will come back as a free-to-play game, which is probably the only way it would stand any chance whatsoever of being any type of successful, but I think too much has happened, and I think it's just the name is tainted so badly that no one's ever going to play it. It's done. That's at least my opinion there, but who knows? Anyway, so Sweet Baby Inc. is one of those companies that gets involved with these guys and tells them to do this stuff, and it only makes games worse. Now, as previously covered, this whole Gamergate 2 targeted harassment thing, it's a lie. The initial harassment campaign was led by Sweet Baby Inc. and its employees Chris Kindred and Maya Kramer against Brazilian gamer Cabrutus Rambo for creating a Steam curator list documenting the games that Sweet Baby Inc. worked on. Boy, did this blow up. I mean, last I saw, 500,000 people roughly had subscribed to that curator list. And the game, all this list did, was name games that Sweet Baby Inc. was involved in. That's all. It didn't go into any details and that kind of stuff. It didn't bring any, microscope in to tell you exactly what they did in the games. It just said Sweet Baby Inc. worked on this game. And Chris Kindred got pissed off about it and cried about it and tried to dox people and got all hateful. And I don't remember what Kramer did, but in any case, they all got mad, right? And Alyssa Mercante from Kotaku got involved, and it was this big fight over this stupid-ass company. The stupid-ass company that admits that they use terrorist tactics to force their way into companies to get their way. Go and talk to the marketing team, buy them lunch or something that says, and terrify them or something like that, right? They tried to get in with Black Myth Wukong with Game Science, the company there, and told them for $7 million we'll do this and that and that. $7 million. The game did fine without them. Okay? 10 million copies in 3 days, I think it was. They did fine without them. They wouldn't have sold a single copy more. In fact, it probably would have sold, a significant portion less had Sweet Baby Inc. been involved in it. Anyway, these Sweet Baby Inc. employees could not tolerate the Steam curator list and attempted to get Rambo canceled, and even tried to get Valve, Steam's parent company, to effectively steal his game library. They wanted him gone. And if you're on Steam, you have a library of games that you've curated through the years, and you get kicked off of it, you lose those games. That could be anywhere from hundreds to thousands of dollars of value right there. That's insane that they wanted to get rid of that. Kindred posted on X, the Steam curator harassment group, Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, is led by this person, Cabrutus Rambo. Here's them trying to be slick so they don't get reported. Even with the discriminatory language filed off, the group itself still fails the code of conduct. Next, Kindred wrote, anyway, report the F out of this group. Finally, Kindred concluded, and report the creator since he loves his account so much. So, really hateful, man. Chris Kindred is a puss. I'm sorry, man. What a loser this clown is. This is the kind of guy that's going to talk big on the internet, and then you run into him and realize, but hey, I'm that guy you tried to cancel, and you tried to steal my library from me. He'd crap his pants, turn around, and run. Anyway, nevertheless, despite pushing an easily refuted lie, the organization then demanded developers denounce gamers opposed to Sweet Baby Inc. and their goals of injecting the objectively evil ideology of wokeness into video games. The organization wrote, you may be inclined to be quiet or cautious, but that's actually not helpful. As noted in our resource, Empowering the Game Industry, a major lesson from Gamergate was the importance of taking a loud public stance. Take this continued. At the time, many studios were hesitant to address the hate and abuse from Gamergate in any meaningful way. The reasons varied, but usually this hesitation was born out of fear of losing profits or concern that taking a stance would attract the attention of the Gamergate mob. It then asserted, in other words, failure to clearly and unequivocally denounce Gamergate and the harassment and abuse done in its name created a space for that hate and abuse to flourish, spread, and become normalized. You're really exaggerating things here. Gamers, it's not about hate, okay? But it has become a hatred for a lot of people. And the only reason it has reached that point is because people have been pushed so hard for so long and been quiet about it, just been like, it's just this in a game. Oh, it's just pronouns. Oh, it's just a pink haircut. Oh, it's just a gay. Oh, they just made him black. And the next thing you know, you turn around and everything is being manipulated around you. And it almost feels like the world is like, you live in Bizarro land, Now, nothing is sacred anymore. Everything gets changed and updated for the modern audience. The modern audience never shows up. They don't go see the movies. They don't buy the games. They don't do anything, right? So these movies and games and all that fail, and then the people that created them blame you and me, the gamer that's like, well, you guys didn't buy the game. Well, fuck you. You said the game wasn't for me, bro. Why would I buy a game from you when you shit on me? Why would I buy a game from you when you talk crap about me all the time? I'm not giving you my money. Fuck you. Get mad. I don't get it. I absolutely don't get it. I look at The Acolyte, that Star Wars series that just took a shit and they canceled the second season on it. And you got people like online just crying about it. I mean, literally crying. Okay? And they're like, we need it back. We're going to sign a petition. I don't give a shit how much of a petition you sign. Nobody watched it, and the people that did watch it hated it. It was a piece of garbage. Even Disney thought it was shit. Anyway, hate, harassment, and toxic behavior have no place in games. Well, look in the mirror, you clowns. By taking direct targeted action in a timely manner, we can mitigate further harm to talented, dedicated folks in games and help prevent additional recurrences of these harmful events, the post concluded. Alright, we're going to stop right here for a second. It's never good to threaten somebody. Okay, whether it be an actress from a movie, a writer, a game developer, anything like that. You don't threaten, you don't try to dox, you don't threaten their family, anything like that. You are free to criticize them, though. And you're free to criticize them wholeheartedly. If they go out there and release garbage, you can tell them, hey, you gave me garbage. You expect me to eat this? This is absolute crap. I'm not touching it. And this is why I hate it. And you have a right to say that. Okay? And when you say that, that is not targeted harassment. That is not anything like that. That is not hate speech. That is you giving an opinion. And they get mad about it because you will not bow down and like what they're trying to force down your throat. You are going to stand up to them and all that. So this is a time, the tide is changing right now, and things are really starting to shift as far as the culture war goes. Stand up, man. Stand up. Talk with your wallet. Don't buy these games. Don't see these movies. Cancel streaming services if they're putting out garbage. Talk with your wallet. We pay these people to entertain us. Let them, and if they don't entertain you, then, don't pay them. There's no reason to pay them, right? In the old days, if the court jester sucked, the king would just, probably take him out back and cut his head off or something. We're not going to do that these days, but we're going to stop paying them. We're going to cut them off financially, right? Until they get it right. Investors are starting to question these companies like Ubisoft and Square Enix a few months ago. Things are coming to a head. I have a feeling we're going to see some major changes sooner rather than later. I expected about 2 or 3 more years of this garbage before things started to change, but I think we might be getting lucky here and see it within, 12 to 24 months even. Anyway, less than 6 months after this post, the organization's research director, Rachel Cowart, resigned from her position. As reported by Ars Technica's Ashley Ballinger, Cowart also founded the organization after encountering a 2019 nationally representative survey from the ADL. Well, those guys are a bunch of clowns. It found that nearly 1 in 4 respondents were exposed to extremist white supremacist ideology in online games. She wrote on X, I'm getting a lot of queries about this post, meaning I'm leaving games. I'm not leaving games. I just resigned from my former position. The ADL will call anything white supremacy that they can get their hands on. I saw something recently about Baldur's Gate, right? With all the available options for that game. The most common, like when they took all the different little pieces and parts that people use to make characters, and they broke it down and says, well, what was the most created character, as a sum of the parts, and it was just a basic white guy with a long sword. It's like, wow. Oh, anyways, to no one's surprise, Cowart admitted in a Game UX22 presentation, which was sponsored by Bungie, that the original polling she encountered that inspired her to start the organization was complete bogus. She said in 2019, the ADL reported that nearly 1 in 4 was 23% of game players are exposed to white supremacist ideology in game. She concluded, and honestly, somebody asked me earlier how I got into this work because it seems like a very niche area, but it was this report. And when I saw that, I thought that number is so high, it can't be that high. It can't possibly be that high. And I called Daniel Kelly, who led this research, and he was like, no, that's the number. And I was like, okay, we have to do something about that. That's terrifying. In 2021, they did another report looking at the same thing, and they found the number was closer to 1 in 10. But it's unclear whether this is actually a change in the landscape or just differences in sampling as it is with research sometimes, she admitted. You worry so much about this thing. So white supremacy is no longer a thing. People want to make it a thing. People want every white guy to be a white supremacist. I'm a white guy. I'm not a white supremacist. I don't believe white people are any better than anyone else, I mean, everybody's got talents, right? And specific peoples have talents, whether it be based on their race, their ethnicity, whatever. Different people have different levels of talents. If you go and you look at Asians are good at math, computers, and stuff like that. You got black folks are great at sports and all that, and blah blah blah. You go into restaurants and all that, and Italians are great at chefs, and and there's just French as well. Everybody's got specific talents that are kind of there for people. I mean, it's always nuanced, and there's always, everybody's an individual. It doesn't apply to everybody. But it's just funny how, everybody wants to talk about white supremacy when nobody talks about white supremacy anymore, except people who want to imagine it's some big boogeyman that, they need to fight against, and it's not. Not only did Cohort resign from her position, but the entire organization is now begging for $80,000 in order to keep it afloat. In a post to the company's website at the end of August, Dr. Rafael Bacamazzo, he should be cooking. The organization's clinical director wrote, "This might be the most bittersweet post I've ever written in my tenure with the Take This. You may have noticed our plea for financial support earlier this year. As hard as we've worked to make up that gap, we still need significant help. Without your support, Take This and all of our impactful programs will cease to exist." Well, take that, Take This. Who cares? After listing out what he views as the organization's accomplishments, he stated, "If we don't raise 80 grand by the end of September, all of this will disappear." The company received a split of nearly $700,000 in grant money from the Department of Homeland Security through its Targeted Violence and Terrorism Prevention Grant Program. This is a complete scam. It's funny how people will use the government and all these programs and all that to scam it out of money. That $700,000 came from my pocket and your pocket. Every person in the United States who's a taxpayer paid these assholes to do nothing but target us and crap on us, right? We paid them to do that under the veil of Homeland Security. This is people in video games, okay? What bullshit is this? DHS shared that in 2022, over the past decade, video games have increasingly become focal points of social activity and identity creation for adolescents and young adults. That's a problem. Relationships made and fostered within game ecosystems routinely cross over into the real world and are impactful parts of local communities. So, your identity creation as an adolescent and young adult should not be happening online. It should be happening in the real world. And if it's happening online, then you're not spending enough time out in the real world. And your parents should do something about it and make you actually participate in real world things, whether it be social events, sports, a church, whatever, anything to get you off the computer where you live in this weird little cocoon and you can be whatever you want because nobody knows who you really are and how pathetic you are. Just go out and be less pathetic and you won't need to hide behind this weird identity that you create for yourself online. You won't need to. I guarantee you mental health in young people would increase massively if their parents got them off the computers and the tablets and the phones a little bit more and got them outside, spent a little more time with them themselves, fostered a better relationship with their kids instead of just letting the internet raise them. There's no secret that all this craziness that's popped up over the last 10, 12 years is not related to people that live online constantly. Anyway, it added, correspondingly, extremists have used video games and targeted video game communities for activities ranging from propaganda creation to terrorist mobilization and training. Game developers in general, from small independent studios to billion-dollar multinational corporations, have lagged in awareness of how extremists may attempt to exploit their games and how their communities can be targeted for radicalization. The joint project from the Center on Terrorism, Extremism, and Counterterrorism, take this, and logically seeks to develop a shared framework for understanding extremism in games. This includes the development of a set of best practices and centralized resources for monitoring and evaluation of extremist activities, as well as a series of training workshops for the monitoring, detection, and prevention of extremist exploitation in gaming, spaces for community managers, multiplayer designers. Oh my God, it is just absolute ridiculousness, right? So, $700,000 was paid to this company. Here's their director, Yves Crevauche. Anyway, and they're asking for more money because they probably misallocated that money. Probably a lot of it went into the pockets of people. I'm sure, what's her name here, Dr. So-and-so, where is she? Here we go. Dr. Rachel Cowart put a big fat wad of cash in her pocket before she left. Yeah, what do you think of this, man? What do you think of the government paying a company like this to battle white supremacy online? Have you faced white supremacy online? I mean, really, have you? I've not faced white supremacy online. I mean, I'm a white guy. No one's approached me and it's been like, "Hey, Captain Beefy, you wanna You want to join our organization of white supremacists? We're going to get all them blacks. We're going to get them out of gaming. We're going to get all them Mexicans. We're going to get them out of gaming and everybody else. And it's just going to be white guys. Nobody's approached me. This is a sick, weird fantasy that these activists have in their head, that they're going to go make a difference and they're going to go fight this grand battle against the evil white supremacist that doesn't exist anymore because they have no purpose in their life. And they want to find purpose, and that's what they look for. I don't get it, man. This is absolutely baffling. Anyway, go ahead, leave a like on the video down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell for notifications. I'll see you next time. As always, I'm Captain Beefy with the Game Vault. Until then, peace.